Hey guys, what's up? It's Drunken Phoenix here. Welcome back to my channel. So earlier today, Bandai Namco has released what I call the emergency patch notes for Tekken 8. And this patch is basically going over a few changes they made, and which I think is which pretty much makes sense given that we have Evo Japan coming later this month. And this patch was pretty much in response to the earlier patch from earlier this month, I believe, in which has gotten so much backlash because we have a game here with so many obvious defects, like so many busted characters, so many busted mechanics, and they pretty much not address any of that. And the one busted thing that they did try to fix, they actually made it quite worse, arguably, which we'll talk about here with Azucena. But yeah, so I want to go over these patch notes, give my thoughts and opinions, and just give my thoughts and opinions. So the very first note is a comment. This is for like the whole game as a whole, and it's called the Rage Art Heat Burst, and this is a behavior changed, and they have fixed an issue where in specific situations opponents were able to move during the time freeze animation before the activation of Rage Arts or Heat Burst. So opponents were able to move during the time freeze before the activation of Rage. Okay, so I guess this was just like a bug fix. I guess whenever you go into heat, I guess there was a bug where your opponent was able to move before the activation of the Rage Art or Heat Burst, which that pretty clear cut and dry. I did get an idea because I'm always trying to come up with different ideas. I think one thing that they can do to help balance the the brokenness and OPness of this game. This is kind of off topic. This came to me like yesterday. This isn't going to fix everything. There's still going to need to be other changes with the heat system as a whole. But I think once you utilize heat, like if you utilize your heat, whether it's the heat engager, heat dash, heat smash, I think you should also lose your opportunity to do rage arts in the same round. I think being able to do heat and then rage art, I think that's way too much given how strong heat is. And I would actually say vice versa as well. Like if you utilize your rage art, maybe you should lose your ability to utilize any of the heat mechanics during that particular round. I think that can help tremendously. I mean, we're going to still need some nerfs to the heat system as a whole. Don't get me wrong, but I think that would be a good solution. That's just some food for thought. The next change that we see is another common one, and this is the tornado one, and this is very key. So in the earlier version that they just made, there were adjustments made to the collision detection between characters and walls to address the issue of slipping through opponents and whiffing when performing a rage art after executing a tornado near a wall. However, as a result, certain existing combos became inconsistent. Therefore, we have reverted this adjustment. Okay, so from this, I remember I watched a FDX video. How do you pronounce his name? I think it's FDX. He did a video going over this change, I believe, and this was something that was really key because I think this was supposed to be a change that was specifically targeting Devil Jin in particular, I believe. And I guess it was some broken mechanic this mechanic kind of benefited him in a way. And rather than nerfing Devil Jin specifically, they just had to nerf the whole entire system as a whole when it came to like him doing some OP shit with, I guess something with the tornado near a wall. But in consequence of this, it resulted in several combos becoming inconsistent, and it was like a lot of trouble knowing, like, particularly at the wall, like some wall combos just did not work anymore. And this was, a change that happened to many characters. So yeah, I think it's great that they changed this, but it is quite scary. And I'm going to say this also, the next patch known as Azucena 2, is quite scary that it takes the community having to explain and having to, give a lot of criticism for them to notice this and change this. It comes across as if they are not testing the changes that they make themselves, which is quite sad and really very bad for game developers to do that. For this particular thing, I think we can I don't want to say give them a pass, but have a little bit more grace with this particular change for the tornado change, just because it may not be as evident, some of the unintended consequences, but at the same time, I still think it should have been caught, given that, given how much this game costs, and all the added purchases they're trying to add to the game, and just, I think we should expect more from a development team. But here's the big dog right here, Azucena, with that crazy busted move while running 3-2. And here they nerfed the while running 3 part of it. So, as a countermeasure against this attack, we initially implemented quote-unquote balancing adjustments in version 1.3.01 with the assumption of evading sideways and then counterattacking. However, due to the current difficulty in executing counterattacks, we have made the following additional adjustments. The recovery frames have been increased by 5 frames, and the forward movement distance after the end of the attack duration has been reduced. So a lot to unpack here. So basically, the difficulty in executing counterattacks here is basically they wanted you to sidestep this move and then attack it, and then punish Azucena after sidestepping. But the problem is that she goes so far out of reach to where it's really very difficult to properly punish it, and some characters probably cannot punish it at all. And me being a Xiaoyu player, Xiaoyu has like the worst range in the game, which I'm not mad at, because she does have to have some weaknesses. But it's just for how strong this move is, to be so fast, so easy to do, so effective, the chip damage, and just it seems like it has some questionable jailing properties. Yeah, it should not be that hard to punish it. It should be reasonable for every character to be able to sidestep it and punish the move. But it would take her so far out of reach to where you could not do a proper punish. And this is what I'm talking about, to where it seems like they haven't even tested their own changes, because this right here is a very obvious to see. Oh, you know what? It's hard for our players to punish this move. We tried nerfing it, but we made it even worse. I'm like, how did you guys not see this? Clearly, there's a lot of a lot of people in these development roles or balancing teams that are not qualified for their job, obviously, because how do you let this happen? And not only that, this is a move that has been, along with several other moves and just several other characters, this is a move that has been the talk of the town for months now. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, I'm starting to kind of change my views of the views I've had in the past, to where, of course, I don't like all the complaining that, a lot of people do, and that includes the casuals, content creators, and the pro players. I don't want to normalize them just complaining. I just want to try to control the balancing, the game. But at the same time, Bandai Namco, you guys are starting to kind of show that you probably do need the pro players to balance your game, because clearly, just by this one action alone with the Azucena, this shows that there is a lack of something with your balancing team. It really is, and yeah, like, this is something that should have been addressed a long time ago, and it shouldn't take the whole community complaining, like literally everybody in their grandma complaining to get this change fixed. And why? And even then, why is this not changed immediately? Why do we still have to wait till the 16th? Like, it's the 11th, or it'll be the 12th soon, but it's the 11th right now, and we still have to wait days for this to change. It's very discouraging, and I don't know how to feel about this, because it's just like, wow. I know we have the big balance patch coming out next month in May, but it's making me think, damn, like, is that really going to solve everything? Like, what direction are they going in? Like, it seems like not only are they not willing to really listen to the players initially, but it seems like they don't even know what they're trying to do. Why does it take? You know, and I still have to test to make sure that this is going to be the great, nerf that it should be. From reading it, it sounds like I still have to test it, but it seems like it's going to be, it's going to have to take more recovery frames to, for Azucena players to recover from this move. So that's great. So they won't be able to just keep throwing it out. And I'm guessing that means, see, the part that I'm confused about, I guess that means if the first hit doesn't hit, I'm assuming that's what that means. It'll be harder to recover, or maybe if you block the whole thing, because it's a 2-string move. I'm a little confused about that, but I mean, I'm assuming that I'm just assuming that you won't be able to continuously just throw it out of nowhere. But we will have to test this. So I wanted to test it in this video, but I don't have to switch. It's kind of hard to switch from this screen to the gaming screen in one go. But yeah. Also, the forward movement distance after the end of the attack duration has been reduced. So basically, this goes to what I said earlier, to where after the move is like sidestepped, she won't be super far out of reach to where you can't punish her. So this is probably one of the best nerfs they could have done in the game. There's still several more, but this right here, very much needed. So moving on to Eddie's Heat Dash behavior. The ability to activate Heat Dash despite whiffing in specific circumstances has been corrected. The behavior of the opponent when Eddie Heat Dash was activated under certain circumstances and deviated from expectations has been corrected. So I'm not too familiar with this change. I guess it's just like a little bug with Eddie's Heat Dash. Moving on to the back dashes. So there has been changes in both Eddie and Zafina's back dashes. I think for Zafina, it should be labeled as a buff, because from what I've heard, her backdash was heavily nerfed, and I guess this is like a revert to a change they made back in version 1.2.1, where they kind of made her backdash distance was shorter than expected. So it seemed like they reverted that and allowed her to have a proper backdash again, which is, good for the Zafina mains. As far as Eddie's backdash, the input window has been adjusted to mitigate the occurrence of unintended dashes or backdashes. So I guess this is, this is more like a neutral thing, because I guess Eddie had a dash, like I guess they were, unintended dashes or backdashes in the game as far as Eddie goes. So it's good that they fixed that, because nothing is worse than your character doing something that you don't want them to do, and then as a result of that, you get blown up because you weren't blocking, because dashing is really important for blocking. So if you were doing unintended dashes, I guess that means you were out of the blocking stance. That gives your opponent more leeway to hit you, without being blocked. So those are good changes. So how I feel about these patch notes, these emergency patch notes, they were very much needed, particularly the Tornado patch note as well as the Azucena patch note. Very much needed. We needed that so much, but there's still so much that we do need to be changed, And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little upset because part of me, I guess you could say the mean-spirited part of me, really wanted Evil Japan to go with how the game is right now, to kind of make a statement for what we're dealing with in the game, to show how ridiculous the balance is with the top tier characters, particularly Azucena, Dragunov, and Fang. Part of me wanted to kind of see that play out, just see all the players just hawking those three characters and just showing how ridiculous the game is, just to make a statement to the developers saying, hey, you really need to fix your game, seriously, the balancing needs work. But that would have been too much. I mean, I still think it's going to be quite for the lack of not cursing, it'll be a crap show still, because I mean, there's still a lot of busted, overtuned things in this game. But I think this Azucena thing, this was the most obvious thing that needed to be nerfed in the game. So it is good to see that they nerfed that. Going in the future, I hope this balance patching I hope it's really pivotal enough to where, they can really make the game balanced, I guess, and not too overpowered. Actually fun again, to where skill matters still. And not saying that skill doesn't matter right now, but the skill floor has been lowered so much in this game to where anybody can be a blue rank at this point. Like, there are so many people in blue ranks that I'm like, you should not be here. And it's just because of the broken mechanics. So I think they really need to address the heat system. They need to address the overpowered S tier characters, and I think they also need to address the chip damage. I think the chip damage is also a bit much in this game, you know. But thank you guys for watching. I don't want this video to get too long. Make sure that you subscribe if you have not done so already. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.